Another Daytona 500 weekend has come and gone, and I'm here to talk about it. Welcome to the garage. And we are live. Hello everybody, welcome to my brand new show, and I could not be more excited to get this ball rolling. My name is Colin, but you might know me as NASCAR Time on Instagram. And if you're not following me already, if you want the latest NASCAR news, updates, rumors, as soon as the news breaks, NASCAR Time is the page for you, so you should definitely go give that page a follow. But I'm very excited to be coming kind of out of my comfort zone here, being in front of the camera instead of behind the phone, writing the news, having kind of a one-on-one conversation with you about this past weekend's races at the Daytona International Speedway. We had Speedweek, we had the trucks, Xfinity, Arca, and of course, the Daytona 500. So let's get down into the nitty-gritty of this and discuss what happened this weekend at Daytona. I will waste no time getting into the events of this weekend. We'll start off with the truck race. It was a truck race of all time. Trucks at Daytona is always a bit of a messy situation. Now, we've got to give credit where credit is due. Those trucks were clearly out of control, and the truck series is a startup series. So we've got unexperienced drivers in out-of-control cars. Things are bound to happen. I'll just give you the keynotes about the Truck Series race. Nick Sanchez gets his first career Truck Series win. He came so close so many times last season, always put himself in position, but did not get the deal done. He finally gets his first career win at Daytona, but it came after a hectic 100 laps. The last lap saw a few trucks making contact on the back straightaway. Big crash ensued. Taylor Gray goes upside down doing his best Matt Crafton impression, and it was pure chaos. But Nick Sanchez does get that big win, putting himself into the Truck Series playoffs. Immediately after the Truck Series race, we had the Arca race that was moved from that Saturday to Friday night due to the weather, which we will get into the weather as well. I don't have to tell you how much of a factor that played this weekend. But in that Arca race, Gus Dean got the job done after getting into a little bit of controversy with his teammate Tony Breidinger. Early in the race, Breidinger and Gus Dean had a little bit of contact, causing a big crash going into turn number 1, and Breidinger did not hold back on her opinions on Gus Dean. She was not happy with her teammate.
I am so annoyed. It's unfortunate he has a lack of respect for his teammates and other people on the track that work really hard to get here when his dad's just riding the track, so I think that just has to do with his lack of respect.
Those are some pretty bold words.
And that early crash just kind of sparked the theme for the Arca Series race. A lot of wrecks in that race. Big crash on the last lap. Through the smoke, Gus Dean got the win at Daytona. So that was Friday. We transition now into Saturday, where they got Xfinity Series qualifying in, but that was about it. They had a little bit of a window, got the track dry, qualified the Xfinity cars, but they could not race. So shuffling around the order of which races were ran when, we will talk about the Xfinity Series now next. The Xfinity Series race was held after the Daytona 500 at 9 p.m. Monday night. And my God, Austin Hill, he is good at Daytona, man. For the third straight year, Austin Hill wins the season opening race at Daytona. And this one came after he made a few mistakes. It started to look like okay, maybe Austin Hill's not going to win Daytona this year. He got caught up in a crash early. He made a mental mistake on pit road, even radioed to the crew, said, I don't know what's going on with me mentally today. It looked like he didn't necessarily have it, but he is always there at the end, and he did end up getting the job done. Okay, now that leads us to the big race, the Holy Grail, the Super Bowl of stock car racing. The Daytona 500 was postponed due to rain, was supposed to be run Sunday, was moved to Monday at 4 p.m. I'll be honest with you, watching the race on TV, it felt like it was a Sunday night. The place was packed. There was plenty of people there, plenty of energy, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson even stayed to give an epic command to start engines. But now getting into the race itself. The action started early on lap 6 when there was a crash between Harrison Burton, Kaz Grala, rookie Carson Hocevar, Austin Dillon was involved, among many other drivers. And it kind of felt like this early crash was going to set the theme for the Daytona 500. Shortly after that crash, front row sitter Michael McDowell was experiencing some engine issues, which saw him kind of just running around by himself for the rest of the race and not really on the pace. Now, Michael McDowell, he's a Ford driver, and it seemed like Ford could not get the strategy right for this race at all. They had a hard time finding each other on track and then ultimately could not pit together. Defending champion Ryan Blaney was very upset on the radio about that situation. But at the end of the day, it seemed to not really matter because by the end of the race, the Penske cars were in position to challenge, but we'll get into that a little later. We're going on now into Toyota. They seemed to be quite irrelevant during the race despite dominating the duels. The first duel was won by Tyler Reddick. The second duel was won by Christopher Bell, and it looked like, wow, okay, despite not having the qualifying speed, it looks like these Toyotas are going to run very well in the race, and we just did not see that. It looked like for the majority of the race that Joe Gibbs was keeping his cars in the back, trying to avoid some of the big crashes, but they kind of just stayed in the back and never found their way up to the front. Denny Hamlin, on the other hand, though, three-time Daytona 500 champion, he knows his way around Daytona. He found himself in the back, but then got back up to the front, but then ultimately got involved in that lap 191 crash. So now let's talk about that crash. It feels like the Daytona 500, we always talk about it was crash after crash after crash after crash, but in this one, there was only one significantly large accident. We're inside 10 to go with the Daytona 500 win on the line, and guys are getting aggressive. The crash started when Alex Bowman bumped William Byron. Byron tipped into Keselowski. Keselowski tipped into Logano, and it was just absolute calamity. A lot of people online and on social media were pointing blame, saying Alex Bowman wrecked the field, Hendrick Motorsports wrecked the field. But at the end of the day, we're inside of 10 to go at Daytona. You really can't put blame on one driver for racing hard and trying to go for the win. Like they say, it's just one of them racing deals. That's exactly what it was. The stakes are high. There's a Daytona 500 win on the line to even be in contention with 10 to go, to be racing with 10 to go at Daytona. It's rare because so many early incidents happen. You don't know if you'll ever be in that position again. So certainly I don't feel that we should point blame at anybody for racing hard, trying to get the Daytona 500 victory. No, I don't think Hendrick sabotaged the field to get the win. I think that's kind of ridiculous. But where I do have an opinion, maybe a little bit of an unpopular opinion, is with the incident that happened coming to the white flag. So coming down the front straightaway, white flag waving in the air, Ross Chastain and Austin Cindric go spinning down to the inside into the grass. Caution comes out. Now, watching it live, I felt like the caution came out, or should have came out, well before they reached the start-finish line. Now, I haven't really seen other people's responses and reactions to the timing of the caution, but I personally did not like it. Yes, it's a shame, it's a disappointment. We didn't get to see a green flag run to the finish. We didn't get to see them fight to the line. The race ended basically a lap before it should have. And personally, I feel like we should have never even been in that position to begin with. Now, NASCAR rules state that when there's an unsafe situation on the track, the caution flag should wave. So let's take the Daytona 500 for example, because that's the race we're talking about anyway. It's a 200-lap race. So personally, I feel like for 199 laps, if there's an unsafe situation on the track, yes, you throw the caution flag. But now what is an unsafe situation? I've always felt like if a car spins out, that's deemed an unsafe situation. Now, let's take the 2023 Daytona 500, for example, last year's Daytona 500. Leaders are coming to 2 to go. Behind them, Daniel Suarez spins out. Now, of course, Daniel Suarez did end up getting stuck in the grass, but before he even got to the grass, the caution flag flew. So what exactly is the difference between Suarez's spin and the spin that we saw coming to the white flag this year's Daytona 500? NASCAR claims that they thought the cars were going to stay in the inside of the track, out of harm's way. They can continue on with the race, which is a fair judgment. I give NASCAR kudos on that for trying to give the fans a good finish, trying to keep the race green, not manipulate the finish at all. I get that. But even so, those two cars were spinning into wet grass. It was monsooning at Daytona. We see in the Xfinity race, shortly after, Jeb Burton spins out and gets stuck in the grass. Now, of course, he got his car out of the grass, but it took him at least 30 seconds. Even if Austin Cindric doesn't go up into oncoming traffic, he probably gets stuck in the grass. And now we've got a situation where cars are coming off of turn 4 with a car stuck in the grass. Now, of course, I know this is all happening in a matter of seconds. NASCAR can't think of all these different scenarios. But I think the way that we can fix this is when a car spins out, that should be deemed an unsafe situation. Although a lazy spin on the racetrack doesn't look all that crazy, I can assure you in the cockpit of that car, it's an unsafe situation. I don't really feel like coming to the white flag at the Daytona 500 is a good time for a ball or strike call. It's not a good time to be lazy with the caution button. Now, on the last lap, that is a different story. If that crash happens on the back straightaway, you keep that race green. So yes, I think for 99% of the race, if a car is to spin out, they should more than likely throw the caution flag. We see so many situations where a car spins out and we get the caution, and the car will do the same exact thing another week and we don't get the caution. What exactly is the reasoning behind throwing a caution or not throwing a caution? And of course, quick disclaimer, I only mean at an oval track. Of course, you can spin out on a road course and keep going. That's no big deal. But at an oval track, like I see it a lot at a track like Pocono, turn 3 at Pocono. You'll see a lot of cars spin out, slide down, go down pit road, go on with their race. And it seems like it's very 50-50 if NASCAR will throw the caution flag or not. It seems like early in the race they'll throw the caution flag, but late in the race they won't. What's the reasoning behind that? And I'm not trying to hate on NASCAR. They know what they're doing. Mike Ford came out and gave his explanation on why the caution flag wasn't thrown. He's a very smart guy. I trust that he knows what he's doing. But it just gets to the point where, personally, I feel like we were robbed of a Daytona 500 finish. Was William Byron a deserving winner? Yes. Was the finish deemed close between him and Alex Bowman? Yes. But I feel like there's a lap of the Daytona 500 that we'll never get back. I don't think those cars were ever going to slide into the grass and be out of harm's way. It was a 2-car crash at Daytona. I think as soon as those cars were spinning, the button should have been hit. But I haven't looked into it a lot, but I've seen a lot of people saying that they didn't have a problem with NASCAR's judgment on that. So leave down the comments below or shoot me a message on Instagram and tell me, what do you think about NASCAR's judgment call on the white flag lap there? Do you think the caution should have been thrown before they hit the line, or do you think NASCAR made the right call? So that's really it from the Daytona 500. William Byron is now a Daytona 500 champion at only 26 years old. It looks like he might be on his way to a monstrous career. Almost got the championship win last season and is already starting the 2024 season off with the Daytona 500. William Byron's on his way to a heck of a career at Hendrick Motorsports. He's right where he needs to be successful. Now, enough of that. Enough of hating on NASCAR and their judgment calls. Again, I just feel like I was robbed of a last lap of the Daytona 500. But it's off my chest now. We're going on to Atlanta next week. Even more chaos, another drafting track where crashes are lurking around every corner. The good news is, though, the weather is good. And if you're William Byron, going to Atlanta next week is good news, too, because he's the most recent winner at Atlanta. Joey Logano also got the job done there last year. We, of course, go to Atlanta 2 times a year. So that's all I got for this Daytona 500 episode of The Garage. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really know what direction I'm going with this channel. You know, maybe I'll have an Atlanta preview race before all the on-track activity at Atlanta. I'll certainly come out with a post-Atlanta video recapping all of the chaos I'm sure we're going to see this weekend. But yeah, I don't really know, and that's why I encourage you to subscribe and be a part of it before, you know, we actually get a concrete plan here. You know, you could say that you're one of the OGs of the channel, you know, before we could take off. Who knows? Or, of course, the other end, we could, you know, not go anywhere here. So who knows, really? There's a lot of moving parts and pieces here. You know, it's pretty hard to sit down in front of a camera and talk, I gotta say. It's, you know, you put yourself in a vulnerable position. It's a lot more difficult, you know, probably more mentally than people probably could imagine. So, you know, I appreciate the support. on the Instagram side, and I would love the support too on the YouTube side. I want to get myself out there more, and I said on Instagram that we're doing big things this year, and this is one of them. We're going to a lot of tracks, we're doing a lot of things, we're getting a lot of good access, and I want to take you with me, and I want to show you my passion for NASCAR also while living my dream of being this NASCAR reporter. So I'm getting there. I'm a senior in college. I've only got 2 classes this semester, and we're ending it out. So I've got the time to do these things, and I want to do them. So there might be a podcast episode, a podcast version of this episode too up, and I'm going to write some more articles as well that'll be posted later soon. So like I said, I encourage you to subscribe, to follow on Instagram. I would love your support during my time of just trying to find out exactly what I'm doing here. So I hope you're along for the ride, because I sure am, and I just thank you guys all for the support. So anyways, that's it. This is the garage. I think that's what I'm going to stick with for the name of the for the show here. Like I said, hopefully we'll get something a little more exciting than a few blank TVs, an exercise bike, these red LED lights. Maybe we can grow this into a bit of a bigger thing, get a better backdrop, get some better equipment here. I mean, my camera's on a stack of books, but this is just the first episode. Hopefully it's the first of many, and I encourage you to be a part of the ride with me, because I think it's going to be a good one. So anyways, thank you guys. That's it. Talk again soon. Thanks.